Imagine dressing in a three-piece suit, hat, girdles, and spats, just to walk down the street. While dressing as today may only seem suitable for costume parties, back then that was the social norm. Today I'll be explaining the cultural and social changes which influence clothing to the way it is today. First, I will start with the 30s. The 1930s was dominated by the movie industry. This is because during the 1930s, the movie industry was the only thing that wasn't affected by the Great Depression. People started wearing tuxedos with long tails and double-breasted suits just to be as flashy as possible. And this kind of continued until the 1940s. The 1940s saw World War II, and also along with it, the material shortage. People no longer could dress fancy and outlandish just because. People no longer wore double-breasted suits, for example. They had to wear single-breasted suits, and also suspenders. Suspenders took more material to build than belts, so this is why we don't see suspenders today. This was the case also in the 50s. People started dressing in slim-fit suits basically the same way as they did in the 1940s. Also, social conservatism and conformity made everybody basically wear the same outfit for every single occasion just to conform to society. This also was the case in 1961 as society again influenced clothes. The Kennedy family basically dominated the fashion industry. We saw with Jacqueline Kennedy the pillbox hat for ladies, and for men, we saw the hat disappear. This is because JFK didn't wear hats. He didn't like wearing them. So this is where we see the hat finally go. In the 1970s, it was basically more of an extension of the late 1960s. The hippie culture dominated the fashion industry, and we also saw it brought a rebel vibe in the air. People started wearing loose, baggy clothing, like bell-bottom pants and wide lapels. This continued until the 1980s. In the 1980s, we saw a new national pride. People started wearing broad shoulders, put shoulder pads in their suit jackets, and bright graphic clothing to kind of say, hey, we're Americans and we're proud. In the 1990s, changing global politics brought back the rebel vibe of the 60s and 70s. We started to see loose, baggy clothing once again. And so this time, it wasn't just bell-bottom pants, everything was baggy. Even business suits were spirit baggy. In the 2000s, we saw two influences for clothing. One was the hip-hop culture, which dominated youth clothing, and one was the European cut for older people. The European cut was basically just a slim-fit suit that came from where else? Europe. It was so popular one time that stores could not even keep them in stock. This is kind of continued, and we still see slim-fit suits today, but we also see the hipsters. Now the hipsters were brought about because of social media. People started posting blogs about fashion, giving their opinion about fashion. It became really a competition to see who could outdo who. People started dressing, the suspenders came back, just to outdo somebody else. As you can see, fashion has changed dramatically in the last 8 years. From the 1930s to present, social and cultural changes have brought about a new line of fashion in America. It is important to know where we come from, because what might have been casual back in the 1940s is suitable for most dinner parties today. By seeing the fashion of yesterday, we may be able to predict the fashion of tomorrow. Thank you.
That's the only thing I'm worried about.